Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Craig Monroe. I'm the founder and the editor of Elegant Literature. We're a magazine, an award, a community, and a school, pretty much all in one. It's a lot of fun. I'm joined today by Andy Pelequin. He's the best-selling author of the Dark Blade series. Andy, and also the judge for our Bad Blood contest, which took place last May 2024. Andy, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for judging the contest.
Thank you for having me. It was actually a surprising amount of fun reading all these people's interpretation of the Bad Blood theme. A lot of people chose to go a direction that my brain was not expecting. Like, I could see where Bad Blood could go. There's the easy ones, and then some people took it really interesting and unique directions. So it was kind of creative insight for me too. I learned a lot.
Yeah, that's one of the best things is seeing the ideas that everybody comes up with and all of the pathways they take for the theme that I would never have considered. It's so much fun for me. I get 300 of those. It's so fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And of course, we're joined by Anne Wilkins, the winner of our $3,000 award for new writers. And fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for writing such a wonderful story.
Oh, no worries. I've loved being part of Elegant Literature. I will be so sad that I can't enter any more of the wonderful competitions that you have. Love your magazine. I love the prompts that you have every month, and it just looks wonderful. Yeah, it's great. Great to have on my CV, and to have finished with winning that grand prize was just a dream. Thank you.
Well,
Go out in a
thank you.
blaze of glory.
Yeah, exactly. Just missed the Phoenix Rising issue. Well, thank you so much for those kind words. That means so much to me because that ultimately is why I do Elegant Literature. So you are an award winner. Obviously, the first thing we want to know is how are you feeling right now? And how are you feeling when you first opened the magazine and saw contest winner beside your name and story title?
Yeah, so we'd had a trip planned for a long time. Because I'm a teacher, it's quite hard to sort of get that time off. And my two children, they're a bit older, one's 19 and one's 16. So we had to coordinate a 2-week block of holiday time at the beginning of this year where we were going to Singapore and Japan. So when we landed in Singapore, I asked for my husband's phone because mine wasn't working. And then I downloaded the Elegant Literature magazine. And then I scanned through, and then I saw, oh, great. Wow, I made it into the magazine, because that's the bit that you first see. And then I scrolled down to the judges' comments and saw that I had won. And at that point, I was on the escalator that you ride on as you go through the airport. I was like, oh my God, guys, I won. And yeah, I was just blown away. So very, very excited and teary as well. Yeah.
I'm glad. So, and you won the contest with your story, The Golden Child, for our Bad Blood theme, and the corresponding issue. So obviously, congratulations about that. Anybody who's watching this who hasn't read this issue of the magazine, the 32nd issue, I implore you, go read it before like pause this video, go read it, and come back. It's going to make a hell of a lot more sense when we talk about the story in a minute. But for those who have, or for those who want a refresher, and for those who want to hear it from the author, and you want to take just like 30 seconds to a minute to tell us in your own words what your story was about.
So it's about two children. The golden child, who is the one with sort of the blonde hair, who is very pretty but enjoys all the golden trinkets and of gold necklaces, and as a youngster was always getting the gold star for first place. And then the second sibling, which is the silver sister, shall we say, who wears silver, who was always getting second place for prizes, silver stickers in her book at school. And they have a very sick mum. And the mum, she tends to wear gold instead of silver, and sort of favoritizes the golden sister. The mum is very sick, and it's the silver sister who's really looking after her mum. And the gold sister is just really quite nasty, basically. and can't really wait for the mum to die so that she can get her inheritance. And at the end, when the mum does die and the lawyer comes across, um, the gold sister gets these gold mines and the silver sister gets the silver mines, and the golden mines are more lucrative. But then the silver sister also gets given the diamond mines, and they didn't know that their mum was that wealthy. Anyway, the diamond mines are the most lucrative. The golden sister kind of shows her more of her true colors in front of the lawyer, being awful, and tells the lawyer to leave, and then basically attacks the silver sister. And at the end, the golden sister basically dies. Her neck is snapped because silver is always more stronger than gold. And at the end, for the funeral, the silver sister is wearing diamond jewelry, and that's now her favorite, the diamond. So I really kind of drew on those gold and silver themes, and drew in the diamond as well. So that sibling rivalry, and using that gold silver underlining throughout the whole story. Yeah.
I think the thing that made this my favorite story of all of the ones that I read was that it wasn't the main character with the bad blood. So the main character was just kind of going along and living their life. And it was always the golden child who had the bad blood with her. And you could see it like woven throughout really, really nicely, the way she puts her down and makes sure that she knows she's second best. And then when you see her true colors come out, it ends with her dying because of her own actions. So she is the cause of her own demise. And a lot of the stories that we read, they did a really good job of making the point of view character be the one that has the bad blood. There was another story that was fairly similar with that sibling rivalry, which was very, very highly ranked in my opinion, right up until I read Golden Child. And I was like, she took the theme and she subverted it in a really, really interesting way that I found incredibly clever. And then the way that it was, like that line at the end where she just buys the sister the cheapest casket she could find, and now she's wearing diamonds. It was a level of creative intelligence that I really, really appreciated, and it made it the story that I resonated with the most.
Thank you.
Yeah, I found it not only very well written, but also very well crafted story, and which sometimes is hard to do with only 2,000 words. And I think that this is your fourth publication. You mentioned you had Trial by Fire, Becoming Avery, and Sequestering Amanda 519. Those are the titles, right? I got that. I did get those.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Nice. So those three stories are also very well written, I think, and great stories. And I would recommend anybody that enjoyed The Golden Child to go check those out. But so Sequestering Amendment 519 was your first publication with us. That was back in around November of last year. So you've had a nice long road of submitting with Elegant Literature. So thank you for sticking with us, and congratulations on your fourth publication and on winning the award. I'm so very pleased because your writing is so great and your story is so well told. So I can. Oh, go ahead, please.
I was going to say I thought it was such a great magazine and concept and everything that I've also encouraged my daughter, who's 16, and so she now enters your competitions as well, and she's been doing that for maybe the past 3-4 months or something. So. Yeah, and I've recommended it to others as well because it's just such a great platform. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you, and that's so wonderful. Good luck to your daughter. Wouldn't that be a nice duo to have won the award? All right, so I can see Andy chomping at the bit. I know he's got some questions. He wants to talk story. Andy, let me hand it over to you to kind of lead us in our chit chat for the next few minutes. Please take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the really important question that I and everybody who read this story is wondering is, how true to life is this dynamic? I have siblings, right? I know that there is, siblings don't always get along. On a scale of 1 to 10, how true to life is this story?
Yeah, probably like a 3.
So it's basically the opposite of reality.
I mean, I'm one of 3, and I'm the youngest child. My brothers are 9 years older than me and 12 years older than me. I was the accident,
Ah,
being the youngest child. But I guess me and my older brother sometimes would make fun of our younger brother, calling him the golden child, when he seemed to kind of get away with a lot of things with mum and stuff. But also, I suppose I also got away with some things with mum as well. So, but my older brother probably never got away with anything. So,
I'm the
so
oldest. That's how it works.
yeah. The youngest always. I have 4 kids. The youngest gets away with everything, and the oldest has to shoulder all the burden and the blame.
We get the same curfew. Like I had to wait 2 years.
I think the only difference for me was that being a girl, I was under sort of kind of stricter sort of guidelines than my brothers. But yeah, definitely my second youngest brother, uh, yeah, could get away with things with mum and me a little bit as well. And the other bit that's kind of a little bit true is, like how the mum's very sick, and I think I said something about she'd always enjoyed feeding her birds, and now she'd become like a bird woman herself. And I think I've written about that sort of before in another story about the hollow bones. You know how birds have
Yeah.
hollow bones, and when a person gets old, it feels very much like they're very bird-like. That was kind of a little bit of my, like, with my mum, but as she kind of neared towards her sickness, um, she always really enjoyed feeding her birds and would even cook them porridge and stuff, so they had it
Wow.
warm.
That's cute.
So that little bit is true, but my brothers and I all do get along and everything. We would probably all like to think we were the golden child, but none of us probably are.
But
We're probably
not so
equal.
cruel.
Yeah, not so cruel.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I would love to know kind of how this story happened. Like, of all the ways that you could have taken the bad blood theme, what made you go this route? I love hearing about like that spark of inspiration when an idea kind of sets in.
Well, I did have something similar on my computer already, and I thought this would be a good match for this theme. And so then I took that and expanded it and made the golden child more evil sort of thing. So
Mm,
I added the cat, and euthanizing the cat, and added more about the mum being sick and everything, to just sort of make you hate that character more.
It worked.
Um, but the
yeah.
original idea was when I was just talking with my kids, actually, and we were talking about colors, and like if colors could be people, what would they sort of be like? And blue might be sort of a kind of hippie sort of chick or something, and red might be like quite an angry sort of person. And then we kind of got into sort of gold and silver, and seeing them as kind of like people, like gold being the person who sort of gets the top spot all the time, but is actually really not a very nice person. And silver also being sort of kind of a moonlight sort of person as well. And always getting second place, but kind of more sort of kinder. So we're just kind of were talking about that in general, and I quite like the concept of, yeah, taking that sort of metaphor and applying it to sort of characters.
Was
Yeah.
very well executed. It's very well done. I enjoyed it immensely. Now, let me ask you this: do you typically write more contemporary fiction? Do you go fantasy, sci-fi? What's your genre of choice?
I'm typically sci-fi, so a lot of my stories are science fiction. Um, I do have some sort of literary sort of pieces, I have a little bit of humor in there. I think I've written one satire. I kind of bounce around all over the place, but if I'm looking at for where most of my work is, it's generally sci-fi, fantasy sort of thing. I find that easier to sort of invent in your imagination, and being fed on a diet of Star Trek and Star Wars as a youngster that's probably where my passions kind of lie. Yeah. But I
But
but I do but I can, do other genres as well.
it's funny you asked that, Andy, because this was like obviously this sort of contemporary piece, and then Sequestering Amanda 519 was very much science fiction. Becoming Avery was very much a fantasy sort of horror, and I can't quite recall Trial by Fire off the top of my head. What would you say genre wise that was in?
Yeah, that's like a fantasy one where they're sort of people that come alive after they've been burned, and it's kind of like a witchy sort of story, that one.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah. So I mean,
fantasy.
your
Fantasy,
pieces
that one.
your pieces with elegant literature have been all sorts of different genres. So you're obviously very versatile as writing, because they're all quite good. Is it do you feel like are you trying to base your stories in sort of the human aspect of them? So whenever even if you're writing science fiction and fantasy, like you've got that kind of core humanity relationship wise, or how do you go about it?
I think all of my stories, or I should say, not say all, but almost 99% of them feel like they're a short movie in my head. Like there's something that you can watch where it's sort of like a little sort of scene that keeps going, like they're about this kind of long. I have read, other people's stories where it's just sort of like one emotion or something described, really well, or just one sort of thing. But generally, in my stories, something kind of has to happen, and there has to be some sort of resolution or ending, that you leave off with. So that tends to be my style, I guess. Yeah.
Do you find it
Sure.
easier to write shorter fiction or longer fiction?
I really like this length, the 2000 length. That's really quite good. I
I don't
have
normally see
tried
that.
writing books before, and I have written short fiction before, 200 words and 1,000 words. I think I tend to be better at the 2000 because you can get more of a story out when you're just dealing with sort of those micro fiction, the 100 words. I don't know. I don't know if I've got the patience to eliminate it all to the skeleton that it needs to be. Um, I have written like a little kids novel that was about 32,000 words, and that was no, not last year, the year before last. And because I'm a teacher, I don't have a huge amount of time. I just sat down in the 1 week of the school holidays and just typed and got it done in a whole week. So yeah, I found that really quite good, just having that time and just keeping at it and not actually stopping to have, a break, which I have tried with like novels before, but I was like, oh, I'm going to type 2,000 words this day. Okay, 5,000. If I keep typing that, I'll finish it in a week. And it wasn't too bad, but I haven't been able to get that one published or anything, but I did read it to my class last year and they really loved it.
See,
So that
when
was
I heard that when I heard the word count was 2,000 words, I was like, I am just beginning to warm up my story at 2,000 words. I mean, I write 250, 300,000 word epic
wow.
fantasy doorstopper. So just the idea of 2,000 words, that's chapter one for me. So I'm always
Not
blown
even.
away. Yeah, when people can add so much depth and character to so few words, it's something that I'm like, I wish I could do that. How do you go about crafting a really short, impactful story like you did? Tell me a little bit about like your mindset and your process when you're going through this.
I have to have the first paragraph right. Like if I don't have that right, the whole story just doesn't really work. So it has to start off right, and then it kind of just flows. And I have to sort of imagine the people and what will happen and things like that. And then I have a rough draft at the end of it. And it's best to just sit down and just do it. Because I'm short on time. So I just have to nut it out and get it down. If they're normally at the top of my document, I might just jot a couple of like things that I really want to include, like little scenes or something that I might want. And I just, get that first paragraph done and spend a bit of time on that one, just sort of getting it right. And then I just do it. And then comes the editing part. So then I will go through and trim it down, take away any adverbs that people don't like, and just trim it down and make it really clear. And if there's some sort of like recurring theme, make sure that is kind of recurring throughout. And also make sure that final line, I do have trouble with endings, because that's really important, where where you're leaving the reader off. Make sure that final line is, absolutely correct, the best it can be for the story, and hopefully leaves the reader with a feeling, at the end of it. And then after I've done that, I then print it out and then take it to my husband and my two daughters, and they then read it. And I'm quite bad with commas, as I've found out, and I'm always missing commas, and I'm
Missing
always getting told
commas.
off about that.
That's all.
Yeah,
That's almost better than like a lot of new writers overdo commas. So many commas everywhere, and it's like these commas are like full stops when you read it out loud, and it really slows it down. So missing them, at least it's maybe a faster pacing.
I don't know. My daughter Rebecca, she's the 19-year-old. She's always like, "Oh, Mum, you've missed another comma again." And she'll put them in for me. But I think I am getting better because she's doing less editing on that regard.
That's
That's
good.
that's the older daughter. And then my husband Paul, he'll go through, and you really need those people to go through, because I'm pretty sure with this one as well, I had like one of the names wrong at one point. You know how you can accidentally get the name wrong, and when you're reading it through, you don't see that. You kind of just assume it's the right name. But so you really need the fresh eyes on your manuscript to have a look through and just check for all those mistakes, and that it makes sense. And not so much with this one, but with other stories, sometimes they might come up with like a plot hole, like I think there was one my husband said, "Oh, well, hold on a minute. How are they breathing oxygen in here?" Because they were in a spaceship. But yeah, I had to like, oh yeah, whoops, and insert something in there to make sure it all made sense. So you definitely need to get other people looking at your work, and my family are really, really good at that. Yeah.
And you're only asking them to read a 2,000 word short story. You can ask
Yeah.
Andy goes to his family or friends or somebody, say, "Hey, can you do a quick spot check? Am I writing here?" And it's a 300,000 word doorstopper.
Their eyes just glaze over by the end of chapter one. Like, yeah, it's good. There you
You
go.
missed a few commas somewhere in the middle.
It's safe to assume I either missed a few or added a few too many, or both. It's just the writer's curse.
Oh, and the semicolons too. They're tricky as well.
Yes, for sure. So what's next? What's next for Anne? What's the next project that you've got kicking around or already begun putting words down?
I feel like I'm constantly kind of working on short stories. I don't have anything like right now that I'm working on. I've got 2 days effectively before I have to go back to school. So I better I have to get my class ready and everything. But when we came back from holiday, I did enter that Globe Soup art competition, because I'd already paid the entry fee for it. And yeah, I will keep doing short stories, like pretty much like once a month, and look out for competitions and things like that. Ideally, I do want to write a novel. There was a time when I did write children. Well, I've kind of effectively written 2 children's novels already, but I haven't really done anything with them. When I first did them, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm going to be, this is going to be the next Harry Potter. This is going to be wonderful. And then I sent my book off, and then nothing happened. So I was kind of a bit crushed with that. And then it took me a while to sort of kind of get my confidence back again, and writing more. And I still have those, books and everything. And I personally, I still think they're pretty good, but I haven't really pushed them out into the universe apart from that first sort of try and everything. So I might kind of try and edit those ones to bring them up maybe to a higher sort of standard, hopefully. Or I do have heaps of ideas, so I might start like a couple of young adult sort of novels that I've kind of got rolling around in my head. I wouldn't be able to do one of your long novels at this stage. That's too hard for me. But maybe like a young adult one, something, yeah, that could be my next sort of goal. The word count would be more doable for me.
Fantasy or sci-fi?
Um, n- Probably, yeah, fantasy, not so much sci-fi. Yeah.
It's always a
There's
lot of fun.
one about a werewolf thing in New Zealand. I don't really know if that's a real goer one, but there's that one going ticking around. And I did actually write a huge chunk about that. Um, it was during COVID time, and I was saving things on a USB drive, and then my USB got broken, and I took it into the computer shop, and they couldn't repair it. And I did have like
No.
a real early draft, but I lost a lot of my work, and I was really gutted with that one.
Yeah,
So
I
I
know. I
that's
know
hard
how
to come
that
back from.
feels. That happened to me. I wrote some fantastic, well, in my opinion, fantastic. And in my class, it was like grade 7 or 8 or something. And it was like a pretty like current events, fairly poignant story, lots of emotion and drama. Somebody cried in my class when I read it to them at some point, like my grade 8 class. Just 2 short stories. And I thought they were great. And years later, I went looking for them and realized that they had been on the only copy I had was on a computer, desktop computer that had died and got thrown out. And I hadn't even thought about the stories at the time. And when I realized that, I was like, they're gone forever. Like there's no way I could recreate those. It's my young writing, and I was crushed for a long time. So now I've got triple backups of everything. I've got all the writing on a USB that's like I bought it to be indestructible. You can run over it with a truck and it'll be fine. As long as I don't lose it, it'll be good. And then I've got them in the cloud and on my like backup hard drive and everywhere. So save your work.
Yeah,
You only need to learn it once and then you'll be obsessive about it for the rest of your life.
absolutely. Pivoting slightly, are you much of a reader, or being a teacher and a parent probably doesn't leave a whole lot of time. Do you manage to make reading time, or do you dedicate your time more to writing and other stuff?
I read lots of short stories, kind of, when they come through, like your magazine. I haven't read them for this month. I haven't had time yet, but generally I um read the ones that come through on magazines and things like that, or winning short stories. I seem to be always reading those. I do love reading. I do struggle to find time to read. I really love, obviously, Stephen King. He's just amazing. I'm currently reading Holly by Stephen King. It's part of that detective series that he has with Holly. Yeah. Anyway, I'm reading that one at the moment. I did read a book on holiday. But I'm not reading as much as what I used to. Yeah. And what I am reading tends to be quite short at the moment. But yeah.
It's easier to fit in among everything else.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I
What
really
what
like
else? Go ahead.
Justin Cronin, the Passage, that would be
Yeah.
like a top book for me, and basically all of Stephen King's work. Yeah.
Very cool. What else do you do outside of writing and reading and teaching? What are some of your hobbies, pastimes, the things that inspire you to create or just inspire you as a person living?
I don't know if there's much time for anything else when you put those in. Teaching is so full on. So, I mean, yeah, you've got all the planning to do, all emails and
What
constantly
level do you
coming up with
teach? Did you
things.
mention that already?
Oh, sorry, I'm teaching year 5 and 6. So in New Zealand, that's like kind of 10-year-olds. Um, they're great. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, teaching is pretty full on. Um, yeah, teaching, reading, writing. It's been really hard just to squeeze the writing in, but I have to. If I don't write, I feel like I'm losing part of my soul or something. So I have to squeeze some time for writing in there. And that can be really hard. But other hobbies, no, I'm not a great cook. I'm pretty terrible actually. I'm not really a great housewife. Oh, I do like gardening. Gardening, I'm good at that. Um, I do have an e-bike, but I'm not great at using it. I do like walking and um, yeah, swimming in the beaches, but only in summer. And just spending time with family. That's really important. Um, yeah, a a lot of creative sort of stuff comes up through school as well. So if you're working on an art piece, you've kind of got to get it in your head as well. So yeah, I don't feel I've got a huge amount of hobbies.
Well, a lot of
Maybe
people, I
I'll
mean,
take
a lot of people
baking.
have work like their job and then like their main hobby, like writing, especially if you have a family, like you kind of get to pick one to like really, focus on in, a meaningful way if you want to like pursue it. It's like I mean, there's a question, like if you could make enough off your writing to of writing fiction to make a living, would you, leave teach? We won't have to. We don't have. We can cut this part out of the interview. We don't have to show it to your board. But like, if you could make enough to make a living from writing, would you leave teaching, pursue writing full time, or do you, you teach because you really love influencing the next generation, or you just love spending the time with the kids at school, or some other reason that you would continue doing it?
See, I tried to be a full-time author. Then when there was a time when my youngest had just basically gone to school, and I tried for like a year and a half maybe to be that full-time author. And I was, typing away and working really hard and keeping the house and all of that and doing that. But what I found was I really missed people because writing is actually quite lonely. So
Yes.
it's just you and your computer. And I mean, I do actually like, people and kids and stuff like that. And I'd always volunteered at play centers and schools, and I'd been that kind of mum, so I really kind of missed being around, others and being like that different kind of busy. So, um, yeah, it's kind of hard. So if I really do love writing, but I need to have it with something else so that you've got that sort of social thing kind of going in. Because otherwise, if you're spending like 5 hours a day just you and your computer, and it's like, what did you do today? It's like, well, I spent it with my imagination. it's, it's not really great work stories. And I do think being around the kids helps me as well. Like, it kind of keeps you young. And I'm enthusiastic when I'm teaching writing to them as well. And yeah, but on the other side, it does make you really tired as well. And you're trying to squeeze everything in. So maybe in an ideal world, maybe teaching, but maybe not as many hours. So maybe if you, and then that way you can have all the benefits of the teaching, and you've also got room for your writing as well. So you get to hang out with the kids and teach them, and still be young at heart, and then and then you've also got time to really let your imagination go wild and create some really cool stories. Yeah, that would be ideal.
I like
Maybe
it.
like
Sounds like a good
week or
plan.
something.
Yeah. I've got one last question for you. Was there a book or a series or a story that like triggered your love of reading as a youngster, or that made you want to write? Like most authors have some origin story. Like there was a series for me that was like, oh my God, I need more of this. There's no more books coming. I'm gonna write my own. Was there something for you? What's your origin story?
Oh, that's pretty hard. Growing up, my mum was a really avid reader. So from a very young age, mum would read to me her books. And they weren't kid books. They were Wilbur Smith and Sidney Sheldon and um, Jackie, I'm trying to think of the last name, Jackie Collins. Those kind of books. Mum would read those kind of books aloud to me. Now, she would fudge out, obviously, the sexy sort of naughty bits, but, just curling up in bed with your mum, and I'm talking about like, preschool, before you even started
Yeah.
school, and her reading out bits of the stories that she was, reading, really, really kind of engaged me. And you could sit there and you could listen to the story and you could picture things. And I also ended up with a really great vocabulary as a kid as well. So I was kind of exposed to sort of adult sort of stories from a young age, but I did really love them. And then I really loved, obviously, Enid Blyton as a kid. And I was also a kid that did enjoy comics. And my brothers had a huge comic collection that I wasn't really meant to touch, but they had heaps of sort of fantasy, sci-fi, even horror sort of comics in there that were really good, and really good for a kid's imagination. So there was a big thing about, oh, comics are bad for reading, or whatever, but it really wasn't for me. It just really helped your imagination, and it was in balance with books as well. I was always reading books, so there wasn't like a one story or anything like that that made me think I want to be a writer or anything. Just from primary school, though, I was quite good at writing. And then when you got the encouragement of your teachers and you got those gold stars in your book, that made you just want to keep on and keep on trying and stuff. And I love the creative writing, and not so much the essay writing. I do that, but the creative writing where you could use your imagination and create all these worlds, that was just great. And in high school, we had a short story competition, and I did win our high school short story competition. And I was like, right, this is it. I'm gonna be an author. This is it for me. But sadly, time and money and things like that all gets in the way of those kind of things. But I always liked writing, always loved reading, and was very encouraged with that by my parents, but especially my mum, who devoured fiction books. We had a huge library, and you could just go and borrow whatever sort of book that you wanted from her shelves, and she would recommend books to you. It was great. Yeah.
Nice.
That does sound great. Wonderful. And I mean, that kind of answered the question I was going to ask, is when was the first time you wanted to be a fiction writer, which I always want to know, because you've been writing, did you take a break from writing much at all? Because you talked about how like now your process, you write, and then you have your family, your husband and your daughters kind of help you edit. What did you do before them? Like, did you have a developed process, or did you write more as a hobby, or how long you've been taking it seriously and submitting to contests and trying to get published? Because elegant literature is for new writers, but that's for people that are now taking publishing seriously, not necessarily, you've been writing for a while, probably based on the skill of your storytelling and what you've told us. So what made you take it seriously, and how did what was it like before your family?
So before my family, so I sort of finished university, and after university I became a family lawyer. So I was dealing with child custody disputes, when people split up, that kind of thing, domestic violence, all that kind of thing. So in a way, you were doing stories, but you were writing other people's stories. So,
Mhm.
and you were writing them in a certain way, in your affidavit format as well. And I think that was probably quite important for me, but it wasn't really like a creative sort of process. And so then after I was a lawyer, I became like a full-time mum, and then I had a couple of jobs during that sort of time. And then really when I had my kids, and I was reading stories to them, and they loved reading as well. And then I started kind of writing stories for them, so it was for their eyes. And I was like, oh, yeah, I really remember, I really missed writing, and I was like, yeah, I really, really enjoy this. And then I started writing like a kids fantasy novel about witches, and then that was read it to my kids and stuff. And then I sent that off to some sort of competition, but it didn't go anywhere. At that stage, the person that was only reading my work was my husband, because my kids were obviously too little. And then after a little bit of time where trying to do the writing, I'd been quite involved with my kids' education. I wanted to be a teacher, so I trained to be a teacher. So all the writing sort of stopped again. And then once I was a teacher, it was very full on, and I didn't have time for any writing, basically. Obviously, because this is my second career as a teacher, because I had been a family lawyer. So I was, learning on the job and everything, and it was very, very, very busy, and I still had a young family. And then probably about 3 years maybe into the teaching, you feel a little bit more like you've got things under control, and you have a little bit more time that you've managed to scrape in there. And so that's when I was like, I really want to get back to writing. And I started really small, just writing like little, maybe 500-piece stories. And then I enjoyed that. I joined like a couple of sort of writing clubs or groups online, and then I was like, yeah, I want to do more of this. So the last 2 years I've really ramped up my writing, and that's when I've really tried to enter a few more competitions, um,
Well, we're glad you
and submit
did.
things
Yeah.
as well. It's very hard to know like what to do and everything. So the internet, is great. I joined that a Discord group, and they're really helpful as well, uh, with lots of ideas and things like that, and we'll post up opportunities for places where you can send your work. Because when I'd first obviously done that children's novel, and I'd sent it off and got rejected, I was kind of like, oh well, that's it for me. But when you keep trying and putting your work out there, and little things get accepted, it just makes you feel like, oh,
You're on the right
you're
track.
okay. You can do this. And I do feel like the more I write, the better I'm getting. So yeah, so I have to keep in just actually writing, and deadlines are really good for me in competitions as well, because if I ever miss a deadline, I feel like, oh my God, it's the worst thing in the world. So it
Of
forces
course,
me
you're a
to
teacher.
forces me to write, which is really good. And as long as you're writing, you're getting better. And like I said, just these last 2 years, I've been submitting my work to outside sort of places and competitions and things like that. And yeah, it's been really good. And this year I've, yeah, probably worked the hardest on my writing.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's paying off. You know,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think you pretty much. I just before I know we're pretty much wrapping up here. But I was going to ask you, you know, 'cause now you've been published with us 4 times. That's, you know, 4 professionally paid stories. Now you're an award-winning author. So I was going to ask you if there was anything that you would tell your younger self, or tell anyone watching this video that might, you know, have hopes of getting published as many times as you, or have hopes of winning an award. What advice you might give them? But everything you just said just before I was about to ask that was all excellent advice. You just keep writing, keep practicing, don't give up. You know, you're getting better. Join the community. It was all succinctly there. Is there anything you'd like to add before we kind of say goodbye here?
Yeah, just the rejections, you just kind of just have to sort of kind of brush them off and realize that, you know, not every story that you write is going to resonate with someone. And, you know, just keep trying, keep writing, um, holding on to your dreams. For me, I have to write because it's kind of like for me to make me happy. So I'm not really writing for other people. I'm writing for myself. And once you actually finish a story and you have it completed, it feels great. It's like, this is something I did. It's a completed work. And yeah, it makes you feel good about yourself. And it makes you feel even more good about yourself when you win something.
Very cool.
Absolutely. Congratulations once again. Andy, thank you so much for judging the contest. I want to ask you the same question. Do you have any advice for anybody that might be watching this, coming from, you know, you're a different type of writer. You're a long form, very long form fiction writer. You've got some best-selling series out there. I mean, you're teaching a course for us for Elegant Literature about advertising in relation to books. But do you have any advice on the writing front or the craft front for anybody that might be watching this and, you know, wanting to follow in your footsteps or something like that, or develop?
I mean, you know, what can I say that hasn't already been said by other wiser people than I, right? I think the one thing that I've taken away over the last couple of years has been reading really does make you a better writer. I do notice that when I read certain types of books, my writing changes. When I read funny books, humor comes more naturally. When I read really beautiful poetic books, my writing starts to feel more poetic. So whatever kind of writing you want to do, read books in that genre that will kind of, you will absorb it through osmosis, and it will make you a better, more creative writer, because you'll learn how to phrase things and structure things in a way that you might never have otherwise. But then also step outside your genre and just go somewhere else, because, for example, fantasy writers write a certain way and romance writers write a totally different way, but so much can be taken from romance to write good fantasy, and so much can be taken from fantasy to write good romance. So just consume books and it'll make you more creative.
Well said. Totally agree. So thank you once again for being a judge of the contest. Thank you for choosing such a fantastic story. Thank you for coming on and sharing your experience with Elegant Literature and our community through the education, through the Author HQ. Do you have anything that you're working on or that's coming up that you're going to release soon, or that you're working on that you're really excited you want to tell us about before we say goodbye?
Yeah, so the next official release is going to be book 9 in the Darkblade series, which is We're at about 2 million words. So go start with Darkblade 1 and
I'm
you'll
sorry,
get there sometime.
the book 9 is 2 million words, or the series is at 2 million words?
The series is closing in on 3 million words, I think. The book 9 is only 270,000.
Okay.
It's a quick
Right.
weekend read, right?
Yeah, that's all right.
But yeah, so basically, Darkblade is the series that I'm best known for. It's a great place to start in my world. It's the first book that I ever wrote. So
fantastic. Fantastic. And is a bestseller. So wonderful. Andy, thank you. Thank you again. I can't thank you enough. Fantastic. And congratulations. You're an award-winning author. You've written an amazing story. I cannot wait to see what you do with your writing career, to see where you're getting published next, and to continue to read the wonderful stories that you write. Because I published 4 of them. I obviously am a big fan, and I'm sure that you're going to keep writing for yourself, and it's just going to so happen to be wonderful and amazing for other people as well. So I'm sure you're going to keep getting published. I imagine you're probably going to win some more stuff if you keep at it like this. So congratulations, and thank you for being with Elegant Literature how you have.
Thank you so much. It's just been great. Thank you. It's such a fantastic magazine and idea, and it's so great to be paid at those rates. Yeah, and the magazine itself is just such a highly polished, attractive magazine. Wonderful cover as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, and Andy, it has been an absolute pleasure to have had this conversation with you. I've loved meeting you both, and I hope to continue seeing you around, whether the writing, teaching, everything. So thank you so much for coming. Have a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you.